Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Tom.
It's our travel unit, and we're off to glorious England, one of the prettiest countries in the world, I think. And they have some of the most beautiful architecture there as well. They don't have the world's best food. I apologize to our British listeners. I do like their fish and chips, but in Europe, at least, I prefer to go over to Italy and eat their food first. But we are going to be in the beautiful town of Oxford, England. I have a friend who still lives over there. She's been over there for about 20 years now. She's American, but she's trying to pretend she's British at this point. She took us on a great trip to Oxford in her car. And it's true that the buildings aren't all close together. They're all over town. But it's a beautiful, beautiful area of the world.
Exactly, and that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about Oxford University and its relationship with Harry Potter. If you're a fan of the Harry Potter books, you know that a lot of the movies based on those books were filmed in Oxford, and that's what we're going to be talking about today and the next day of our program. So let's get right into it, everybody. Let's read the entire contents of our lesson, and we'll be right back.
Greetings, Potterheads. Do you dream of walking through the same halls as Harry, Hermione, and Ron? Well, prepare your wands and hop onto your broomsticks, because we're about to begin a magical journey into the fascinating world of Oxford University, where the wonders of Harry Potter come to life. Oxford University, located in the charming city of Oxford, England, is one of the world's oldest and most prestigious universities. While the exact date of its establishment is unclear, teaching at Oxford dates back to 1096 and expanded rapidly after Henry II prohibited studies at the University of Paris in 1167. Unlike other universities, Oxford doesn't have a centralized main campus. Its buildings and facilities are scattered throughout the town. Therefore, it's highly recommended that visitors explore Oxford and experience its beauty at their own pace. One of the most closely associated places with Harry Potter is Christ Church College. It was the filming location for multiple scenes. The Great Hall is a must-see spot, as it served as the inspiration for Hogwarts Dining Hall. This Renaissance masterpiece, with its series of stained glass windows, prompted the film crew to construct a replica in the film studio. Fans of the series will also recognize the Bodley Tower staircase leading to the Great Hall, the location where Professor McGonagall welcomes the first-year students. Another recommended location for Harry Potter fans is the Bodleian Library. Opened in 1602, it's the second largest library in the UK and the main library of Oxford University. Within is Duke Humphrey's Library, a gorgeous reading room. It's the oldest part of the library and was featured as Hogwarts Library in the movies. Okay, guys, let's get started. Some of our listeners, if not quite a few of our listeners, really do like Harry Potter. I love the books myself. I wasn't going to read them at first because I thought they were for kids only. And then my sister, who had 4 little kids, told me, Steph, they're really good. You should get them. So I started reading them, and I love them. They just create a whole new world for people. It's kind of fun. So if you look at the first sentence there, it says, Greetings, Potterheads. Those are Harry Potter fans. Sometimes we'll add that word head to the back of another word to describe somebody who likes something. Tom and I were talking about a very old band from America called the Grateful Dead, and their fans were called Deadheads. If you are into drugs, and hopefully our listeners are not, sometimes they will call you a pothead if you like pot, or a meth head if you're taking meth. But that's a person who's addicted to drugs. But oftentimes we'll take that word head, and then there'll be another word at the front to describe what somebody likes. I think the most famous, though, at least in America, though, are the deadheads that like the Grateful Dead. That was the first time I heard of that sort of nickname.
Yeah, but Jerry Garcia died a long time ago, so the band split up, and the deadheads are kind of lost. They don't know what to do with themselves. But in any case, yeah, if you're a Potterhead, you really like Harry Potter books. So, yes, indeed, we've got a question for you. Do you dream of walking through the same halls as Harry, Hermione, and Ron? Okay, I haven't read these books myself, but I've heard of these characters before. And many times when I saw this second name of that girl, I kept saying Hermione, but that's incorrect. You're supposed to say Hermione.
Yeah, Hermione. Yeah, it is weird. There are even people in England that didn't know how to say it, but it isn't an American name at all. My family, we were just kind of making it up until we heard an audio recording of an actor who was reading the books, and it's at that point we realized, oh, we've been saying this wrong. Yeah, it's Hermione. So these are some of the characters, and then our lesson moves on, and it's kind of cute. It says, well, prepare your wands and hop onto your broomsticks because we're about to begin a magical journey into the fascinating world of Oxford University. And that's where some of the Harry Potter scenes were filmed. That's why we're kind of putting those two topics together, Harry Potter and Oxford University. Now, what's a wand? Well, if you're a wizard or a witch, you know what they are, the long stick or pole that they kind of wave and say magic words, and then some spell is cast. We know that Hermione is a witch. And so she has that magical power. A broomstick is that long pole that usually is used to sweep floors with. It's got straw at the end or some nylon material in modern day. But that's what the witches would jump onto and then have these powers where they could fly around, but they needed their broomstick to do it. So we're getting our wands and our broomsticks ready because we're going to the fascinating world of Oxford University.
Right. If something's fascinating, it fascinates you. It's really cool. It's really wonderful. It has to do with fantasy. So, yes, indeed, it's like really something that takes you by surprise. It's really amazing. It's fascinating there. It's really, really interesting. And, yes, indeed, you can find these things at Oxford University, where the wonders of Harry Potter come to life. And indeed, if you go into some of these buildings, you'll be reminded of having seen them before. Hey, this is from the Harry Potter movies. Indeed, this is that hall, or there's the stained glass windows. You get the idea here. Now, moving on to the next paragraph, it says, Oxford University, located in the charming city of Oxford, England, is one of the world's oldest and most prestigious universities. Now, you can also say prestigious. I've heard both pronunciations, prestigious and prestigious. And it basically means that you are admired by a lot of people, you command respect from people, you have high status.
Right. So it is a very, very prestigious university. There, it's in a beautiful setting. The surroundings are so nice and green and beautiful. Taiwan's green, though, too, which I love about Taiwan. Moving on to the next paragraph, it says Oxford University is located in the charming city of Oxford. I did mention that, and it is one of the world's oldest universities. Now, it's hard to actually know what the exact date of its founding was or its establishment because that's unclear. But we know that teaching at Oxford dates back to 1096, which is crazy old, and expanded rapidly after one of their kings, Henry II, said, you can no longer study at the University of Paris, and that was in 1167. Now, an establishment just means something has been set up. So we also talk about places that you can go to as this fine establishment. But here we're talking about the action of actually organizing and setting up some sort of school. And we know it happened a long time ago because they were already teaching at Oxford in 1096. Notice we say these dates in a weird way. Actually, it's not so weird because I think about when we were in the 1900s, we'd say 1955 or whatever. Here, you say the first two numbers together and then the last two. So 1096. And then if you look when it was banned to study in Paris, we say that 1167. That's how we say those out loud.
Indeed, and of course, establishment is from the verb to establish, which means to set something up. And we don't really know when Oxford University was established. And it dates back to 1096 when people were actually teaching there. So to date back to just means we're talking about when something started in the past. And of course it started, or people started teaching there in 1096. And it expanded rapidly because we got Henry II saying, nope, you can't go to Paris anymore to study. We don't like those awful French people with their rich food and their wine and their cheese and stuff like that. Stay in jolly old England and get educated here. And unlike other universities, Oxford doesn't have a centralized main campus. Okay, so that's kind of unusual because if you go to a university in Taiwan here or in the United States or other places, it does have a centralized main campus. All the buildings are together in one area. You might have buildings that are kind of far away in different locations, but still there's a central campus somewhere. And this is kind of unusual because Oxford does not have a centralized main campus. It's kind of spread all over the place.
It is. Its buildings and facilities are scattered throughout the town. They're all over. It's not a very big town, though. I wouldn't want to walk to all the buildings in one day. But, yeah, they're in different areas. Facilities refers to different things. If we're talking about a university, it's the buildings and the surroundings. Maybe the dorms are included as well. If there's a dorm, a dormitory is the full word, dorm for short, where some of the students can stay. But it includes all of the amenities that some sort of establishment offers. And here, it's not just the buildings, it's everything that they have to offer. It would include the gyms and the places where kids can go and grab a bite to eat at the university. So the facilities and the buildings are scattered everywhere. So it says, therefore, it's highly recommended that visitors explore Oxford and experience its beauty at their own pace. At your own pace just means at a speed that you feel comfortable walking at, or a speed that you feel comfortable seeing something and then running back to the car if you're in a car and driving to the next building to take a look.
Right, so it's highly recommended by somebody that visitors explore Oxford and do it at your own pace. Okay, that brings us to the midway point in our lesson for today. Let's take a break now and listen to our beloved Chinese teacher.
听众朋友大家好，我是安娜。我们今天要带大家到牛津大学来看一下哈利波特的拍摄场景哦。因为大家都很喜欢哈利波特，可是你有没有想过能够真的走在哈利妙丽啊，还有这个荣恩曾经走过的走廊上面呢？我们现在就要到这个牛津大学来看看这个场景。刚刚我讲的这一些开场啊，其实就被放在我们今天文章第一段前面1、2句的地方。不过第3句呢，我们可以稍微注意一下，因为感觉上好长哦。这个很长是什么原因啊？句子很长，通常是因为里面有不同的句子被连接起来了。例如，我们从第一段第3句的 well 后面找到了 because 原因，再往后走有一个逗点，通常逗点就代表文意已经比较完整了，但是话还没说完，所以在这边做一个稍微的停顿，所以逗点也可以被视为句子被切开的一种这个象征。逗点之后的 where 其实就是补充说明前面这个 Oxford University 所谓的牛津大学后面如何呢？其实 where 本身是一个副词，指的是在某个地方。那这个 where 关副，它其实跟先行词是脱不了关系的。脱不了什么关系呢？脱不了文意的关系。所以这里的 where 在哪里？当然就是先行词，就是在牛津大学。所以 where 可以把它给一个等号，等于 and at Oxford University。 在牛津大学 The Wonders of Harry Potter Come to Life。 那这个牛津大学到底是怎么样呢？进入到第二段仔细的来看看，其实它就是在英国迷人的牛津市 The City of Oxford, England。 当然它是世界上最古老而且最有声望的大学之一，不过它到底什么时候开始创立的呢？这个日期并不是很明确。我们在第二段的第二句一开始的 while 要特别圈出来。在我们上一个单元我们有提到 while 有 when 的意思，有 although 的意思，还有然而的意思。那么在这里的句首它是 although 还是这个 when 的意思呢？就直接看文章整句话的文意来做判断。我们看到后面创立的日期不清楚，但牛津的教学可以追溯到西元1096年，然后之后呢又迅速的扩展，所以根据文意的话，这里的 while 应该就是 although 表让步。好啦，虽然到底什么时候建立是不太清楚 unclear， 但是这个 teaching 可以 dates back to 追溯回1096之后呢，是因为亨利二世在1167年禁止巴黎大学的学习，那之后大家都跑到牛津大学啦。好，但牛津大学跟其他大学不太一样的地方是在哪里呢？就是它其实没有一个集中的主要的校区，所以牛津大学的建筑物是散落在牛津市这个城镇的各处。所以如果真的要去那边看看的话，可以按照自己的步调来做一个探索。不过在我们休息之前先回过头来看一下第二段第三句倒数第三个字有一个 throughout。先看一下它的发音 throughout， 这个 throughout 是个介系词，通常中文都会翻成遍及。遍及什么呢？后面可以加地方或者是时间，所以在这里看到的是遍及整个城镇。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. It's our travel unit, and we're going to spend a couple of hours at a really wonderful place called Oxford University that's located in England. In the city of Oxford, there's actually a city called Oxford as well. And we know that this is a place where some of the scenes, the famous scenes at least, in Harry Potter were filmed, especially the one where they dine. We're going to talk about that. I think in day 2. But yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful campus. And when there are beautiful settings and surroundings like that, you'll often have film crews who want to film there because it's just so beautiful. And that's what brought them to Oxford. We know it's an old university. It dates back to 1096. We're not really sure the exact date that it was established, but it was already accepting students and teaching these smart kids as early as 1096. And then we know that King Henry II was kind of mad that England was losing a lot of their students to Paris, France, where they had the University of Paris. So he banned the English citizens from going to Paris to study. Those kings. And that was in 1167. So more and more of the British, or at least back then it was just the English citizens, were staying in England and studying at Oxford if they were lucky enough to get in.
We also learned in the first part of today's lesson that the facilities and the buildings of Oxford University are scattered throughout the town, so you should explore Oxford and the university at your own pace because it's going to take you some time to walk between those different areas and take buses or whatever. Now, in the next paragraph here, it says, one of the most closely associated places with Harry Potter is Christ Church College. Okay, so indeed, this is associated with Harry Potter. It has something to do with Harry Potter, especially if you watch the movies. You'll see many scenes that were filmed in Christ Church College, or in this area, and it was the filming location for multiple scenes. Multiple here just means many scenes.
That's right. So the Great Hall is a must-see. If someone tells you or gives you some advice and says, hey, if you're going to go to this country, you need to stop by and see this particular location, it's a must-see. If it's a must-see, you don't want to miss it. Otherwise, it would be sad for you. If it's a must-read, it's a great book. A must-see could also refer to a movie if it's really good. We haven't had a lot of great movies lately, though. So this is a must-see spot. It's the Christ Church College Great Hall. And that was the inspiration for Hogwarts Dining Hall. I always loved that scene. I thought, wow, what a great place to sit down and have lunch. Our cafeteria in high school and junior high when I was growing up was not fancy. So I look at that place and I think, oh, those lucky kids. So if something's an inspiration to you, it gives you an idea to do something, usually something creative. Some people are inspired by music. Some people are inspired by a great writing or maybe a teacher, a mentor that says something to them that inspires them, kind of mentally stimulates them to want to go do something or create something. Usually it's something creative.
Right, and remember the Great Hall is not where they filmed these scenes. It was inspiration for the dining hall in Hogwarts, which is, I guess, where all those kids went to school to study to be magicians or witches or whatever. So they didn't actually film it there. This is a Renaissance masterpiece with its series of stained glass windows prompted the film crew to construct a replica in the film studio. So indeed, it is a Renaissance masterpiece. The Renaissance is a period of history in which there was a rebirth in art and literature and architecture and stuff like that, I guess between the 14th and 16th centuries, if I'm not mistaken. You will hear English people saying Renaissance, but Americans say Renaissance. And a masterpiece, of course, is a great work of art. It could be a painting, it could be a sculpture, or it could be a symphony or a book or whatever. Like Beethoven's Fifth Symphony is a masterpiece.
And it's got a series of stained glass windows. You'll often see these stained glass windows in Europe, especially in churches. They're beautiful. They would color the glass and then make pictures out of the glass based on what colors they were using. Stained glass windows are so beautiful. So they had a series of them, meaning they had several, one after another. And this prompted the film crew to construct a replica in the film studio. Actually, they did use the Great Hall initially, but then they kept wanting to use the Great Hall in other movies. You know, we have several Harry Potter films. So they constructed or built a replica that looked just like it in the film studio. You couldn't go and film at a university anytime you wanted to. It takes a lot of arranging of schedules and special permission. If you construct something, you build it. We often use this word to talk about building big things like homes and office buildings and bridges, things like that. You could construct a road as well. And again, a replica is just a smaller version, or it doesn't have to be smaller either, but just is a second copy of something that really does exist in real life.
Right. If you go to Yelio in Taiwan there, they've got a replica of the Queen's Head Rock there because so many people want to get a picture in front of the real thing, that the real thing is kind of threatened now because of all the people. So they've got a replica closer to the shore there, and you can use that to take your pictures as well. So yes, they have a replica of this great hall that they built later, or they constructed later. And fans of the series will also recognize the Bodley Tower staircase leading to the Great Hall, the location where Professor McGonagall welcomes the first-year students. So you probably remember that scene from the movie. They've got this staircase, which is a series of stairs that go from one level to another, and it's called the Bodley Tower staircase, which takes you up to the Great Hall. And there was a scene from the movie where the professor welcomes the first-year students to Hogwarts.
Hogwarts, yeah. I remember looking at that thinking, wow, that is so beautiful. The ceiling in particular is beautiful. So if you get a chance and you're watching a Harry Potter film or you're online looking at Bodley Tower, look at the ceiling. It's just stunning. So, you know, Professor McGonagall, she's a good witch, but she's kind of strict and kind of mean, I think, sometimes to the students, especially if you're misbehaving. But she's there to welcome the first-year students. So another recommended location for Harry Potter fans is the Bodleian Library. So that's the library right there in Oxford. It is huge. In fact, it's the second largest library in the UK. And if you know anything about the UK, you know they love books and they love scholarship and learning and studying. They have the most beautiful libraries. Well, this is the second largest library in the UK. It's also the main library of Oxford University. So that's another place where they filmed some of the Harry Potter scenes that you'll want to take a look at. It opened in 1602, so they started building that thing long before. It's crazy.
It is crazy indeed. And of course, lots of universities will have a main library and then they'll have smaller ones in different colleges and stuff like that. And within is Duke Humphreys Library, a gorgeous reading room. So that's inside the main library there, inside the Bodleian Library, Duke Humphreys Library. It's a smaller one. And it's the oldest part of the library and was featured as Hogwarts Library in the movies. So again, if you go to Duke Humphreys Library, which is inside the main library, you may be reminded of a scene from the movie where something was filmed there. I did not see the movie, so I'm not sure exactly what they filmed there, but you'll recognize it if you are a fan of the movies.
And of course, there are a lot of scenes that are filmed in the library because these kids are supposed to be in school learning things. But like all students, they use the library to gossip and catch up with their friends. And occasionally they study for tests, we hope. Right now, we're going to listen to someone who can help you study and prepare, and that's our English teacher who will be speaking to you in Chinese. I guess we're the English teachers too. Hold on, we'll be back.
不过我们都知道啊，如果你是哈利波特迷的话，跟哈利波特最密切相关的地方之一就是这个基督堂学院了 Christ Church College 基督堂学院。好，你想说牛津大学叫 Oxford University， 然后学院 College， 可是我们说要上大学是 I want to go to college， 那到底是怎么一回事啊？其实 College 这个学院的意思就指的是学群相同的这一些科系聚集在一起，这个叫做学院，比如说传播学院啊、外语学院啊、什么学院。那如果是3个以上的学院合并变成规模比较大的一个大学的时候，会叫做 university。不管你是从 college 毕业还是 university 毕业，在学历上就是大学，所以其实学院只是相似的科系聚集在一起，这个叫做学院，就是一个学群概念的意思。好，那接着我们就看啦。其实这个基督堂学院啊，这个 college 它是电影当中啊很多地方啊拍摄的场景。学院餐厅是必访的景点，因为它是霍格华兹餐厅的灵感来源哦。我们在第3段的第3句这边可以看到一个中间有一个 as 把它挑出来 as 后面找到了动词 serve as 作为身为什么样的身份，可是 as 如果当连接词的时候就有3个意思啊 because when跟如同好像，同样还是要回归到这整个句子当中，你怎么样判断它的文意，而在这里是表原因，所以这里的 as 其实是等于 because。 那当然我们都知道有什么彩色玻璃窗啊，然后当时拍电影的时候啊，整个电影工作室就建造了一个复制品，然后可以呢顺利的拍摄。总而言之呢，整个电影系列的粉丝呢，就是还会认出啊有一个这个伯德利塔楼梯，那个伯德利塔楼梯不就是麦教授迎接1年级新生的地方吗？好，我们在第3段的第5句这个地方看到一个关系子句的简化，又有这个限定用法的关系子句哦。首先看一下第5句的地方，先把那个 Bodley Tower staircase 这个地方整个画起来，它是先行词，后面的 leading 到 the Great Hall 逗点这个地方就是右括号咯。省略的是 which 或 that 跟 lead to 就是通往什么什么地方，关带省略，后面的动词 leads 直接变动词 ing， 所以它是关系子句的简化。不过后面逗点的 the location 又带了一个限定用法关系子句哦，逗点之后的 the location 是先行词，从 where 一直到句尾则是用来修饰它。 那么当然第4段呢，再跟大家推荐另外一个地方，就是伯德利图书馆了。那这个图书馆则是在1602年的时候开张的。在第4段，我们这边特别注意第2句的地方 ，opened in 1602，其实它是一个分词构句。这个分词构句啊，是把逗点前后2个子句中间有一个 and 省略，其实原本的句子应该是 It was opened in 1602 逗点 and it's the second largest library blah 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 blah。 所以既然都在讲同样的一个主题的话，把 and 省略，前面的 it was 也省略，就形成现在的分词构句了。我们明天还会带大家到牛津大学看看哦。我是安娜，我们明天见。
That's it for today, everybody, but please join us next time when we continue to talk about Oxford University and its relationship to the Harry Potter movies. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
See ya.